Running is about the best life journey you can go on. It is so rewarding and joyful, but along the way there can be setbacks and mistakes. Some you have to make and learn from, but this channel and this video are all about giving you the best information we can to avoid some of the mistakes we could all do without, or how to fast track you through the earlier days of your running. So we sat down and came up with what we think are the 8 best purchases we made as beginner runners and how they benefited us and how they can definitely benefit you. And if we missed anything obvious, let us know in the comments. Around the time I started this YouTube channel, and also when I started racing a little bit longer, so we're talking marathons, I started to feel the need for a way of taking all of the things that I take with me on runs with me, but in a convenient way. So usually I take a phone, I take the GoPro, sometimes I take gels, certainly I take gels in races, and I needed a way, a non-clunky way of transporting all of that. Enter the flip belt. See, I was finding hydration vests are great, especially for longer distance runs like half marathons and beyond, or trail races, but there was this gap. I didn't want to take something so bulky, so clunky on runs of between 5 to 15 kilometers, but I still need to take my phone, my GoPro, my gels, etc. And that's where I think a flip belt has amazing value. See, what it does is it sits here on the waist, doesn't really move, and I put my phone in the back, I have the GoPro in the front, I sometimes have gels in the front, and actually you don't even feel like you're wearing it. That's the thing with the flip belt. And I know that there are other belts in the market of this style, but I've always used the flip belt. It's always served me well. So how much can you fit in the flip belt? Well, a surprising amount. I've run London Marathon with it on, and I fitted in 7 gels, my GoPro and my phone. I've run other races where I've fitted in slightly less gels, but a drinks flask and my phone and the GoPro. You can actually fit quite a fair amount in there and still not really feel it, and it's far more convenient in those types of races than a hydration vest is. A game changer for both of us in every sense of the word was getting a run analysis. Now before I start talking about how important it was for us, let me be clear, it was for us, because we kept picking up small injuries that would knock us out of our rhythm. It would ruin our consistency. There had to be something technique wise that needed looking at, so we saw it as an upfront investment in ourselves, an opportunity to solve some issues and learn about our bodies, and I can honestly say for both of us it was some of the best money we've spent. Not only did we solve our issues, but we learned loads about ourselves, how our bodies work, and some of our individual strengths and weaknesses. So whilst I wouldn't say that this type of expenditure is needed if you're running happily and injury free, no pain, no discomfort, I would say it's a great purchase if you are continually picking up little injuries or even just feel like your technique could be better. But make sure you do your research, because the analysis they do in some running shoe shops, whilst it's still valuable, it's not the same thing. Find a physio clinic or osteopaths, and they usually have a run analysis practitioner working there, or even a run coach. Plus, it's fun just to see how horrendous we all actually look whilst we're running.
One of the best things that I've spent my money on is decent clothing. When I first started running, I just used to run in old stuff that I was like, oh, that's okay for running, probably because I didn't see myself as a runner. I didn't think I deserved or should wear more expensive or nicer stuff. I just used to wear stuff from the back of the drawer. But then as I started to get more into running and doing races, I bought a few things and realised what a difference it can make to both my running and how I feel when I'm running. I think it actually started with a nice pair of proper running socks, and I realised what a difference it made to how my running felt. And from there, well, I've branched into every aspect of running kit and spent a fair amount of money, but for me it's been so worth it. It makes me feel excited to put my running stuff on, it makes me feel super ready and prepared and in the zone. And sometimes if I'm lacking motivation, I'll put on my favourite, nicest kit, and it just gives me a really good boost. I think investing in decent kit is like you're saying to yourself, I am a runner and I do take this seriously and I do deserve to wear decent kit. So if you've got some money to invest in your running, I would absolutely advise spending it on some kit just to help you feel good when you're getting out there.
One of the other core purchases that I made was one of these, but probably not for the reason that you think. So this is a Garmin 955, and it is a watch that I bought recently that's going to help me get through a 100-kilometer race, as in it's got the battery length. But it's not the original reason that I bought a watch or wanted a watch. You see, this watch, it can do maps, you can pay with things, you can listen to music through it. I'm pretty sure it can clean your teeth. It's pretty mental. But the reason I bought my first watch, and I didn't need all the connectivity or GPS or anything like that, is because it logged all of my runs and all of my data, and I found that hugely motivating. So it was essentially watching the distances go up, watching the mileage overall go up, watching paces go up and heart rate go down. It was being able to see tangible proof that I was making some kind of a progress. And that's what the watch allowed me to do, and it was hugely motivational. It kept me getting out there. So while yeah, it's nice to have a watch with all of the functionality you could ever want in a watch or ever need. I mean, I think I use about 5% of the functionality of this watch, but I don't care. That's what it's about for me. It's whatever motivates you. And what motivated me in the early days was seeing my progress in real time happen and it all being calculated for me. And a watch did all that. Another great purchase in the early days was shoes. Now let me add an immediate caveat to that. If your shoes aren't causing you discomfort, if you're not picking up niggles, if you're not picking up aches, then they're good. Be happy, that's all good. Mine were. I was starting to pick up kind of calf strains and things in the shoes that I was wearing. So I took myself to the local shoe shop. I'm not talking about a Foot Locker or a brand store. I'm talking about, you know, the guys that run the local stores that are passionate about running and want to help you be a runner rather than sell you a particular brand. And I had a little running analysis done where we worked out that actually the shoes that I was in, maybe they weren't the best shoes for the way that I run at that point. And that's how I landed with some Asics Gel Nimbus, which are still a wonderful shoe right now. In fact, I then trained in the Asics Gel Nimbus and raced for a lot of years, and they're still one of my go-to shoes in my rotation. I still love them, but just in the last few years I've branched out a bit, looking at performance shoes for higher intensity training sessions, that kind of thing. But one of the best purchases I ever made as a beginner runner was looking into the right shoes for me. There are so many ways to enter the world of strength and conditioning, all at varying price points, and there's no denying that strength and conditioning should play an important part in your training if you're looking at it as a lifelong journey. But how do you cut through the confusion? The options are so numerous. Of course, bodyweight workouts are great and easy to find on YouTube, from yoga and Pilates to home HIIT sessions. But for me, something that quite literally saved my running life was the Humble Resistance or Pilates band. For under around a tenner, you can get 5 bands of varying resistance that you can use for so much. When I hurt my back a long time ago, and pretty badly, what did the NHS physio give me? Resistance bands. And when I wanted to target specific weak muscles, resistance bands. Or how about strengthening up the core? Resistance bands. They're so cheap and they're so versatile, with so many videos on YouTube about how to use them, that they might just be some of the best money you spend in terms of bang for your buck. I still use them multiple times per week, and I am definitely a stronger runner for it. This will be an interesting one for me to try and explain, because another great purchase that I made was a heart rate chest strap. Now, watches nowadays, most of them come with a heart rate monitor on the wrist, but there is evidence that these wrist heart rate straps, they're not as accurate as chest heart rate straps. And if you really want to be able to drill down into your sessions, as in know precisely your zones that you're training in, making sure that you keep your aerobic training in the aerobic zones, your tempo runs at near lactate threshold and sometimes VO2 max, then you need to know your heart rate zones as accurately as possible. And a chest heart rate strap allowed me to do that. Essentially, training by heart rate allowed me to do the right sessions at the right times in the right places and absolutely maximize every single second of every single session. But before I was heart rate training, I'm fairly convinced that I was wasting a lot of my sessions because I was doing the wrong things at the wrong times. It basically gave me peace of mind, and yes, a wrist strap monitor can do similar things, but I just wanted the full security of knowing this is about as accurate as you can get without lab testing. But if you're happy with getting your heart rate done on your wrist, then go for it. It's still heart rate training, and you're still going to learn a lot about your body and what intensities mean what heart rates. And that is priceless when you don't want to waste a single second of a single session.
One really valuable thing that I've spent my money on in running is race entries. If it wasn't for race entries, I'm not sure if I would have got going with such fire and energy and commitment at the start. So fairly early on, when I decided I wanted to try and run 10k, I entered a race, and I chose carefully. I did an amazing race called the Pancake Run in Celebration, Florida, and Ben had run it before, so I knew a little bit about it. I knew it was very low-key, very friendly, very welcoming, and it was the perfect first race. And having the race entry made me really committed. It made me know I had to make the training happen, and it got me towards that goal. And it was the perfect race. It was fun, friendly. I actually overtook a woman dressed as a pancake with about 600 meters to go to the finish line. So that just gives you a feeling. So pick a race that doesn't overwhelm you and go for it. After I'd finished that 10k, I was inspired and I wanted to enter a half marathon, and that one was a lot bigger. I managed to get entry to London Landmarks half. But those race entries, those goals to aim for, can be so powerfully motivating, and I would 100% recommend booking and spending your money on something like that.
And if you liked this video, here are 2 things for you to consider doing. And the first one is subscribe if you want to see more content based around running and fitness. The second thing is watch this video here, which is the 8 tips that changed my running life, which again is aiming to help you as a beginner learn some of the things that maybe people should have told you when you started. That's all from me. Bonus video coming, which is a race this week because we're off to Krabi for a half marathon, and I'll see you next Wednesday.